Good afternoon, or in some people's cases, evenings, because it is right after 5 o'clock here in the good old Shenandoah Valley, or my house, Bridgewater, Virginia. Yes, I have a background again. I don't like the cold, and this is my favorite spot in the world to be, summer at a baseball field. This was actually taking Game 7, Part 2, in the summer. If you know, you know. First part of the game got rained out. But we are back for another episode of the King Buddy Ray podcast, another one. So, what we're going to get into today, we're going to get into some recap of some sports during the week. We're going to get into Big Monday and Super Tuesday. If you don't know what those are, Big Monday, there's really only two big college basketball games on Monday. Case in point, Big Monday. Super Tuesday, super. Lots of games. Lots of good games, though, normally on Tuesdays as well. We'll get into college football and the changes of that with the NIL and where people move, because it's a lot to keep track of. And we'll look back at the Indiana or the JMU Dukes of the North and their historic run in college football in the last two seasons. We'll touch base on some other things as well. And then, of course, we'll end each podcast with a positive thought and a Bible verse. So first, let's get into Big Monday, and was it a good one? First game of the night was the Duke Blue Devils versus the Louisville Cardinals in Cameron Indoor. That is a very loud facility. I have been there. I went there back in 2013. Very big facility, very loud facility. Cameron Boozer led the way for the Blue Devils with a double-double, 19 points and 10 boards. It was very close in the first half, but Duke clamped it down on the defensive end, outscored the Cardinals 45-24 in the second half, and pulled away and won by 25. The second game on Big Monday was the BYU Cougars freshman, possibly, in lots of people's opinions, the number one draft pick, A.J. Batanza. It's between him and Peterson. Some may say Cameron Boozer. I say Cameron Boozer. As much as my Carolina heart hates to admit it, the dude can ball. The dude can shoot. He can drive. He can pass. He's your... If I had to compare him to someone in the NBA now, to be dead honest with you, I would almost compare him to an Evan Mobley / Karl Anthony Towns type of guy. Plays some defense with Evan Mobley, but can shoot and drive like a Karl Anthony Towns. I would really look at him as a Karl Anthony Towns, Evan Mobley mix. Or some would say he likes his dad, but his dad was more of a post player. But that's besides the point. But BYU, A.J. Batanza welcomes in number one team in the country, one of two college basketball teams undefeated left. It was one of three going into Monday. But my apologies there on my post on Instagram yesterday. I put that Arizona was the only one left. There's still one left in Miami of Ohio. So my apologies there, Miami. But BYU, Arizona, very back and forth game. Till late. BYU pulled away late. They were up 12 with about 4 minutes left. Or not BYU. Arizona pulled away late with up 12 with about 5 minutes left. But BYU came storming back, caused a flagrant foul, made it go down to the buzzer, but the Wildcats survive. Final stats in that game, A.J. Batanza had 24 points, so good night. But if you dig into his stat line, Arizona made him work, 6 of 24, or as I like to say, the Kobe stat line had some points, but took a lot of shots to get that many points. Take that how you want. The Wildcats made him work. Bradley led the way with the Wildcats with 26 points, and freshman Koa Pett had 10 points as well. Very big freshman class. You had Koa Pett, you had A.J. Batanza, and you had Cameron and Caden Boozer playing on Monday night. Probably one of the better freshman classes in college basketball. Shout out Chip Glover and the other people in the sports chat that I'm a part of. Anyone in the first round, anyone you pick, is going to be a good pick. It ain't going to be let's risk it here, see if this one pays out. I think any of the first round draft picks this coming NBA draft season will be good, so it should be good there. That's just my opinion. You can debate it if you want, but that's just my opinion. But let's get into college football before we move into Super Tuesday. Indiana, the turnaround of sports history? Maybe, maybe not. In my opinion, yes. But I'm only 31, about to be 32 years old, so maybe. I just can't think of anything that quick. I can think of a few things, but not maybe in a 4 or 5 year span, but that quick. Like some will say, "Oh, Patriots," but from this year, no, they weren't like bad. Indiana was bad. They had only won 3 regular season games before this past season or 2 years ago. It's crazy, crazy. Last 2 years, 27-2. This season, 16-0. Kirk Cignetti. Google him. He wins. If you actually Google him, this is what Google says. Head football coach of Indiana University is widely known for one of the most remarkable turnarounds in football history. And as I said, in my opinion, the best ever. This is what Google says. Leading the Hoosiers to the first ever national championship in his second year as a coach. 27-2 in 2 years. Congratulations to you, Kirk Cignetti. Some big JMU players went with him, 13 total from 2 years ago, but some big ones in this game, in the national championship game. Caleb Downs. Or not Caleb Downs. Wow, that's Ohio State. D'Angelo Pons, cornerback. Little small in some NFL draft prospects, but he's projected to be a 2nd to 4th round pick. Top 5 corner. Aiden Fisher, middle linebacker, projected to be a late rounder. Elijah Surratt, top 10 wide receiver, 2nd, 3rd round pick, JMU guy. Solomon Van Horst, a running back. Kalon Black, a running back. Mikael Kamara, defensive lineman, who, in my opinion, in that game, made the biggest play of the game. Block punt, which led to a touchdown, which ended up leading to Indiana winning the game. Lots of people can say the pick. Yeah, it's the pick. But without that, Indiana's not up. So, take that how you want it there. We look at some Cignetti quotes, because we all know he has that face. No matter what happens, he's just like, with players just, me as a sports guy, I'm like, I want to try to make this guy smile. Like, I'm competitive. I like to be competitive. I'm going to try to get Cignetti to smile. It's crazy. It's crazy. And some big-time Cignetti quotes throughout the last 2 seasons. Google me. We just talked about that. The dude's a winner. This should be a movie. He was asked what these 2 years in Indiana has looked like for him. His response was, this should be a movie. After the Rose Bowl game, he was asked that question. And then he was also asked, what's he going to go do? And he said, I'm going to go home and have a beer. So, congrats to you, Kirk Cignetti, and Indiana on a remarkable 2-year turnaround in Indiana. And they did it with no 5-star commits. That is the biggest thing to me. Yeah, they had a lot of older guys. They had a lot of players. A lot of sports writers are saying, oh, they had old enough teams to play in the NFL. Okay, cool. But they had no 5 stars. No 5 stars. Dude just makes people compete, makes people want to win. Dude is just a winner. Right now, in my opinion, the best coach in college football. Sorry, Kirby Smart. That's not you no more. Take that how you want it. Now we're going to switch to college football in the new format. A lot of people were thinking it's going to go to 16 teams. But they decided to stick with 12. The only real change is if if Notre Dame's in the top 12, they get a guaranteed spot. Sorry, Chris Amos. You would have made the playoffs this year if that was a rule. But it was not a rule this year, but it is moving forward. And then guaranteed first round buys to the top 4 teams in all the land. That didn't change. Really, the only change was the Notre Dame rule. And then it's a guarantee that one non-Power 5 conference champion, that remains the same as well. So really not too many changes minus Notre Dame. Some fans have that wrong. Don't like that. It's okay. Notre Dame, other than this year, normally ranked, or they were ranked in top 12 this year. They normally get in anyway, so it doesn't really change anything. Really, some people are mad about it, but if you're mad about it, put them on your schedule and beat them. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I personally think Indiana should have got in this year. Or not Indiana, Notre Dame, my apologies, should have gotten in this year. I was one of those that thought Notre Dame got snubbed. Yes, Miami ended up making it to the national championship. It is what it is. My only scuffle with that is Notre Dame, before conference championship weekend, was ahead of Miami. Both of them did not play, right? Notre Dame's here, Miami's here. Neither one of them played, and they flip-flopped. I'm fine with the flip-flop if you want to put Miami in, but Miami should have been ahead on conference championship weekend instead of the other way around. I was fine with that if that would have happened, but that's not the way it went down. And we all know Miami went on to beat Ole Miss, beat Texas A&M, and beat Ohio State. Or not Ohio State, but in making it to the national championship game. But there's some other changes and big moves in college football because it's tough to pay attention to the transfer portal. Sam Leavitt leaving Arizona State, going to Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers. Go Tigers. Safety Koa Parrish moves from Minnesota to Oregon. Darian Mensah, who had a killer ACC championship game for Duke, is leaving Duke, going to Miami. The whole wide receiver group for Arizona State's following Sam Leavitt to LSU. Brendan Crosby from Cincinnati's going to Texas Tech. Lots of moving pieces. Those are some big ones. The biggest one to me, Dante Moore. Not leaving Oregon going to the draft. He's staying in Oregon. And then, of course, Arch Manning is staying for another year at Texas. Some coaches moved around a little bit. Lane Kiffin, obviously, moved from Ole Miss and is going to LSU, staying in conference there. Bob Chesney, leaving the Dukes, heading out west to UCLA. Good luck to you, good sir. You're a good man. James Franklin, after a miserable start for Penn State, got fired early in the year. He's now a Virginia Tech Hokie. Lots of turnaround there. Lots of players followed him there. Sharon Moore, after the affair he had with a intern office lady, one of those two, can't remember which one it was. He got fired from Michigan. Kyle Whittingham, who resigned from Utah, took the Michigan job. Bryce Underwood ended up staying. He was reportedly gonna leave Michigan, but he ended up staying. So lots of changes in the college football. Obviously, with this whole NRI deal, it's tough to keep part of. But follow any of the good sports writers out there. Follow ESPN. They'll get you handles on it. In my opinion, NIL, I like what Dabo said the other day. He pretty much said, you get one transfer. If you want to transfer again, you sit. I agree. It's how it used to be. Unless the coach leaves. Now, like if let's say I'm Arch Manning, for example. I'm in Texas. And Sarkisian decides to go coach the Cowboys. I have all right to leave because my coach left. That I'm okay with. But these guys that are moving from Texas to Tennessee and to Oregon, then to Indiana, year after year, it's hard to keep track of them. They're not getting an education at this point. That's the biggest thing for me is it's more about money and paying players now than giving them an education. It is crazy. But who knows? We'll see what happens. With the transfer portal, dates back. Don't talk to players, don't talk to coaches. We'll see if it ever changes. Probably never will, but it should. But college football, lots of changes happening, and probably will continue to happen in the upcoming weeks and months. Now to the courts of tennis. Tennis recap. Mr. Novak Djokovic gets more help again. He was down 2-0 against the Italian Musetti. He was down 2 sets and was down like 3-1 in the third. You got to win 3 sets to advance. And guy gets hurt. He ends up retiring. Djokovic moves on, but class act by Djokovic. He says, if he's not hurt, I'm not beating him. And he even during one of the games, the chair umpire called the ball out, which it was out. But Djokovic said, I hit it with my racket. And so Musetti got the point. So true class act of you, Mr. Novak. Very good there. So he will go on to face Mr. Sinner, the Italian, who beat Ben Shelton, the American, in straight sets. Ben Shelton, he does great until he reaches the quarters and then just can't beat anybody. It's so weird. Carlos Alcaraz, #1 player, beat Alex de Minaur in straight sets. Zverev beat the American are in 4 sets. So the semifinals are set for Thursday night. If you don't go to bed, or early Friday morning at 3 a.m., you got Sinner versus Djokovic and Carlos versus Zverev. Top 4 seeds for the first time in the Australian Open are all still in it since 2013. And back in 2013, Novak, now the 4 seed, was the 1 seed in 2013. So he's been around for quite some time. Looking at the women's semifinals, which are tonight or tomorrow morning. You got the number 1 Elena Sabalenka versus the Ukrainian Svetlana, and then you got the American Jess Pegula versus Rabalanka from Russia. Should be some good ones there. Now back to college basketball, Super Tuesday. And let me tell you this, it didn't disappoint. It was a very big Tuesday. NBA even tagged along with it a little bit. You had 4 games and 1 NBA game at one point, all within 1 possession, either in overtime because Michigan State started a little early, or within the final 2 minutes. I had my TV split screen watching all 4 of them. And then I had my iPad sitting on my lap watching the 5th one. I was loving it. Lots of close games. We'll start with the first game. Michigan State winning in overtime against Rutgers. Rutgers really led the game the whole time, but Michigan State brought it back, took it to overtime, ended up winning by 9. Top 5 matchup. One of the 3 at the time remaining unbeaten is Nebraska Cornhuskers, number 5 against number 3, Michigan, who is not unbeaten. They have 1 loss. Back and forth game, really. Nebraska was down 3 late, had 4 chances to hit a 3, couldn't make it. 3 of them were air balls, and they just couldn't get the ball in the basket, so they fell to Michigan at Michigan. So only 2 remaining unbeaten is Arizona Wildcats and Miami, Ohio, which we'll touch on them in a quick second. Arkansas, they ended up traveling to Boomer Sooner land in Oklahoma, had some key defense late, put the stomps on the Oklahoma Sooners late, and ended up winning that game by 4. Travels to Notre Dame. They were down 12 with about 13 minutes left. Not looking well, but they brought it back, took it to overtime. 1 overtime wasn't enough. They took it to double overtime and ended up winning 100-97. Number 2 team in all the land, the UConn Huskies, who have won 2 national championships in the last 3 years. Obviously, as we know, they won by 6 against Providence at home. Dan Hurley was asked after the game, "What you think, Coach? What's your thoughts?" And his response was, "We need to play more violent on the defensive end of the floor." And anyone that's watched Dan Hurley's interaction with his players during the game, he's very emotional, very gets into it with his guys in a good way. Great coach. Hopefully they took concept of that and said, we better play better defense for our guy there. Another top 15 upset. Indiana in basketball now beats number 12 Purdue in Indiana. A tough place to play in Assembly Hall up there. Vanderbilt, after starting 17-0 in the year, Mr. Old Duke himself, Mark Byington, 17-0, then losing the next 3 of 4, welcomes in Kentucky, and they blow the socks off of them. Sorry, Zach Blanton. Your Wildcats did not come to play last evening. They lost to 25 in Vanderbilt. And then the only other remaining unbeaten other than Arizona, Miami of Ohio welcomed in UMass. And Miami of Ohio hit another buzzer beater. I think that is their 4th or 5th buzzer beater of the year to remain unbeaten. We look at the NBA. Let's recap a couple things. On Monday, the Lakers went to the Bulls and ruined Derrick Rose's retired jersey night and beat the Bulls there. The Wolves beat the Warriors by 25, the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Charlotte Hornets smacked the Philadelphia 76ers by 37 on Monday, and then we transition into Tuesday. The New York Knicks beat the Kings from Sacramento. The Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the better teams in the land, best record in the NBA, went to the Pelicans and beat them. The hottest team of the year in 2026 so far, of the new year, The Clippers remain hot and beat the Jazz, who are probably the worst team, probably going to get the number 1 draft pick or have the highest chances, because in the NBA, which I love this, is an NBA draft lottery. It's not, you can't tank and get the best pick like you can in NFL and MLB and everything else. You have to earn your lottery pick. I love that the NBA does that. I think other sports should follow suit. You'll have less tanking, in my personal opinion. But the Clippers stay hot and beat the Jazz. The Pistons travel to Denver, high altitude, but they beat Denver and remain atop of the East. Things coming up to watch tonight on ESPN. Both of these are on ESPN. You got LeBron, Luka, and the gang from Los Angeles coming to the land, Cleveland Cavaliers, to take on the Cavaliers. Will this be LeBron's last game in Cleveland? My personal opinion, no, because he's the type of guy, he's one of the best players in the league, has been for years, goes down as one of the best players. He's going to announce at the beginning of the year when he's going to retire. So, because he's going to want a tour. That's just who he is. Kobe did it. A lot of players do it. That's what they do. I don't think he's retiring anytime soon. That's just my thoughts. I don't think it's his last game. But some think it may be. So, who knows? Come at me in the comments. Let me know what you think. So, the Lakers in Cleveland tonight on ESPN. And also on ESPN, you got the Spurs, San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, Mr. 7'4" himself, traveling to Houston, not too far away. They're both in Texas, but Texas is a big state, to take on Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. Then you got the women's semifinals tonight, early into the morning. Thursday, all on Amazon Prime. You've got the Washington Wizards hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. Will it be Giannis' last game on the bench for the Bucks because he's currently hurt? Will he get traded? Shams Charania says he's possibly going to get traded. I just don't see him getting traded. He's hurt. I'm not pulling that trigger if I'm a GM. That's just my personal opinion. But he probably will be. But my personal opinion, I would not trade for the guy. Yeah, he's great. Great player. Top 5 in the league when he's healthy. But I'm not trading for him because he's not healthy right now. But we'll see what happens there. The Wizards host the Bucks tomorrow. The Minnesota Timberwolves welcome in the Oklahoma City Thunder after that. College basketball, 2 top 10 matchups tomorrow. And Iowa State welcomes in Colorado, and Illinois welcomes in Washington. Those are both can be found on Fox Sports 1. So, lots of things to do the next couple nights. It's still cold outside. Let's look at the temperature. It is 5:30, so the sun's almost down. It is currently 22 degrees. The sun's about to set here in about 10 minutes. It's going to get down into the low single digits, even down in the -3 here in Bridgewater at 6 a.m. But stay inside. Turn on the TV. Watch some basketball if you're into that. Watch some tennis if you stay up late like myself. Read a book. Do some writing. Do some journaling. It's very good for the brain. I've really enjoyed doing that. If you write it down, if you want something to happen, write it down. Just write. Just write. You will be amazed where this little thing up here, or in my case, big head over here, takes you. Where your mind takes you. Big headed, not big brained. But you'd be amazed if you write stuff down, what can happen. So lots of sports happening. Lots of things happening. But now on to your positive thought of the day. Don't give up. Do what you set your mind to. Everyone sets these New Year's goals, right? You should just have goals, not New Year's. And one of them should not be the gym, because gyms make a ton of money off of that, and more than 90% of you don't do it. But, case in point, don't give up on what you've set your mind to, what your goals. You're going to fail at first. It's guaranteed. You're probably going to fail multiple times. But remember this. Do not give up. Keep going. Strive for it. Hit it. Make it happen. And keep going. The journey is less difficult when you set your mind on things and don't focus on the failure, on the struggle. Set your mind on the goal, not on the failure or the struggle from reaching that goal. Set your mind on the goal, failing and struggle, throw it over there in right field. Okay? Set your mind on the goal, The journey is less difficult when you don't mind the meaning of failure and struggle. Don't focus on it. Don't mind it. Push it off to the side. It's going to happen. Push it off to the side. Now to your Bible verse of the day. It comes from Mark 9, verses 42 and 43. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them if a large millstone were hung around their neck and they were thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed than with two hands and going into hell, where the fire never goes out. Remember to be self-disciplined. Spend time in God's Word. Spend time with Him daily. Pray to Him. Talk to Him daily. That's what He wants. He wants us to talk to Him, even when we're doing good. Talk to Him. Say, thanks, God, for the day. Pray to Him. Spend time in His Word. Start each day in His Word, and end each day in His Word. And the day is going to go so much more better. I can promise you that. Always remember, with God, all things are possible. So, thank you again for joining in for another episode of the KBR Show. We'll do another one on Friday, or recap the sports from Wednesday night and Thursday and early Friday morning. We'll recap all the sports. We'll look forward to the Australian Open finals. Our main topic that day will be Major League Baseball. It is coming back, people. The World Baseball Classic starts here soon. The season starts here soon. Catchers and pitchers will start to report to Florida and Arizona for spring training here soon. And of course, we'll always end it with another positive thought and another Bible verse. But until next time, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the KBR Show. This is yours truly, King Buddy Ray, signing off. And as always, go Bucks.